Good evening and welcome to the Mascoma Valley Regional School Board meeting. We now have a quorum, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll kick this off with our Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So up first, we have approval of minutes, both public and non-public, from March 22nd.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes, public and non-public, from March 22nd.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Danielle, what's your second? Any comments, questions, or concerns on this? I did not see anything jump out to me. I noticed. So. Anything? All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes, public and non-public, of March 22nd, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And abstentions. Oh, and I should add that for the minutes for tonight, Kathleen is an excused absence. She let us know ahead of time. So, all right. Close the minutes, open the agenda. All right, so public comment. It is any public comment? Tom, did you want to make any public comment now, or did you want to do it later in the meeting, or are you just here to observe?
Well, the one thing I will say is, as part of our Mascoma Forward group, we have been planning on trying to put together, initiated for a variety of reasons, trying to put together a program. I think, and I forget the exact date, but sometime in May, with a panel, we've reached out to Superintendent, who's agreed to participate. Danielle, I think you've talked to.
Yeah, I think I was looking to see, I think it's on the same night as a baseball game, but I believe the baseball game is home. Yeah, so
Okay, well,
I haven't had a chance to reply back yet, but I will.
Okay, we have a teacher, Natalie.
Palella?
Thank you. We have a business person, and we have an alum, whose name is also escaped, Ayers, Graham Ayers. The theme is, what are we getting for our, what are we getting for our education dollars? The idea is to be supportive of public education, but we hope, frankly, that particularly in my community of Canaan, and you know this well, there's an awful lot of angst over taxes, and the schools tend to take it on the chin without, particularly in select board meetings, without an opportunity to have the other side heard. And we felt like, given everything that's going on both here and around the country, that we wanted to see if we couldn't stimulate a discussion that would bring in maybe some people who, there are always going to be folks who just, are on the other side, but we're hoping maybe we can bring in a few persuadables and help them understand the importance in economic development and, jobs and just the value of education generally. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Cool.
That's not the only reason I'm here.
Okay.
I hadn't, in all the years I've been here, I had never attended a school board meeting, I'm ashamed to say, so.
Welcome.
This is my first, and I wanted to come and just see what's going on.
Never too late. All right, anyone out in Zoom land? Raising their hand or anything?
There's no one here.
Oh, boy. All right. So we have a presentation, correct, or is that?
We do not have a presentation today. That is not even tabled. She's withdrawn her request.
Okay then. All right. So, there we go, moving right along. Continuing business then. Then I guess I'll just skip there's no presentation, so we won't have other public comment. Anybody else here to comment on anything? So, EIC Committee, let's see, we have our meetings from March 17th. That was a very productive meeting. You can read the minutes because Angel takes excellent minutes. Everyone in this district takes great minutes. It's amazing. But it's very thorough, and so we talked all about music. And we talked about the music program here at the schools and the whole school district. And, we kind of looked at what the numbers are per grade and what they've been historically, and, what that is as a percentage of students, percentage of student body. And so we brainstormed a lot of different ideas on how to, reinvigorate the music program, how to break down the barriers that are stopping kids from taking music classes and taking instrument lessons. And so we came up with a lot of really good ideas. The music department was going to go put their heads together and come up with an action plan. And that's what they're working on right now, if memory serves me correctly. And so they played around with ideas of things like maybe fourth graders aren't quite mature enough anymore, because 30 years ago, maybe it was different. And so they're kind of looking at, do we move to fifth grade to start instrument lessons? The barriers of having it after school as a paid to play program, that is a huge barrier for kids. They have to pay extra and come back to school in the afternoon. They have to go home and come back to school if they want to take a private lesson with Megan Prince. So looking at different ways around that, fix that. How do we get that into her daily, day, stuff like that. We looked at different ideas. So you can see all the notes there, but this is something that we are all kind of brainstorming. We can talk a little bit about it at our retreat, I suppose, for any more concrete ideas. Am I missing anything, Amanda, on that?
I think you did a very nice job, Tim.
I think it was good. So we talked about reinvigorating chorus, and I believe they are going to try and do that for third and fourth graders again?
Yes, that's already in the works.
It's in the works. So that was, we saw some success from when Ellen Wilbur went down and did that for a year and a half, I think, or a year or two. So those kids are in seventh grade now, and you see a noticeable uptick in chorus students from that, just that 1 year. So we'll get it going. We'll get them back. And what is the drop between 8th and 9th grade? What makes them drop, and how do we get them back? Stuff like that. So, any questions?
I know, Dan, you've done some surveying of the kids in terms of interests.
That was
Has
one part
anything-
we talked about. Yeah.
Anything come up that would dovetail with this,
I think there was some interest more in music appreciation kind of stuff,
Right.
if I remember correctly from
Mhm.
that
Yes.
interest survey, as opposed to necessarily vocal or
I felt like there was
instrumental.
something in there that would, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be worth looking at.
They talk about, surveying parents of elementary school students to be if, price was not a barrier, would you do lessons? Because it costs almost $60 a month
Right,
to rent a saxophone and $40 for a
Very
trumpet. It's expensive.
yeah,
So
plus paying for the lessons.
lessons on top of
Yeah,
it.
and
It's a
the
commitment.
transportation, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like that, it's an interesting idea to think about waiting until fifth grade where where it can be baked into the school day.
Mhm.
And, you still have some costs associated with rental. But, I think about fourth graders that are gung ho to get started, and then they're like, I
Yeah.
have to practice, I have to come back to school and do
Yeah.
this, and parents,
Yeah.
and if they fall off doing that, and parents are like, okay, fine, that's less money that I have to pay, and I'm not
Exactly.
bugging you to go and practice.
Exactly.
And hear that, so, just thinking about the extra year of maturity, and maybe thinking about, just focusing on those additional opportunities in choral music,
Mhm.
because there's no extra thing that you have to buy.
No, there's very
And
little area.
gets them interested in it. And I think that there's been a lot of kind of pop culture around a cappella music and show tunes and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
maybe that's an opportunity. I think that was mentioned in here as.
Well, yeah, because actually that's funny you mentioned that, because what he did at the middle school was kind of change the select chorus,
Mhm.
because his chorus is so small.
Yeah.
He had kids that were like, oh, if you did a show choir, we would do that. So he's starting that for the spring. So he's trying to retool it on the fly. And so I appreciate their commitment to trying new things and
Yep.
whatever they can do. The one thing that did come up that we toyed around with, and they're gonna look at this, is using some ESSER funds and maybe combine that with some Burner Foundation money and some other things to make a big purchase of instruments, so kids no longer have to rent from Ellis Music, and they would instead borrow from us And then we would have the program where we just loan it to them and kind of just work it into the budget. Because once you get over that hump of buying it, then it's a small amount every year to upkeep. So we just, they're looking into stuff like that, and what would that look like? So, All right. That's EIC. Co-curricular.
So it was a relatively small meeting. I ended up this is a 3:30 meeting, so I was a little bit late. So I missed most of the presentation from the AV and esports, but there were some folks in here that were able to see that, and they're very excited about sharing some of their work. We talked about some of the Aspen Institute materials, specifically the importance of athletic trainers in rural small school settings. So we talked a little bit about Mr. Brown surveying other districts, other ADs, to see what kind of setup they have, and if it's if it's a full-time position, if it's full-time, do they have part of their duties as on the academic side, where they're maybe teaching strength and conditioning or sports medicine or something like that. So he's going to check on that, and also about the funding sources for those types of positions, so that we have a little bit more information before heading into another budget season. And then because it was essentially just Mr. Brown and I, we tabled the remainder of the agenda for the May 5th meeting. We did talk about moving to that model that's more like the Wellness Committee, where we're asking some outside or community-based resources to join. So I'll reach out to Bridget LaBrie in particular with her rec positions to see if that's something that she can attend. Any questions? Okay.
I think that's a novel idea if you have a trainer that can teach 2 classes, or kind of start the day like Rodney does, where it comes a little later and then works through the afternoon. Or
yeah, because it's just, we've had the position, the part-time position advertised for a couple of years now, and we just, even when we come close to getting someone from the Plymouth State program that's new to the profession, they see the hours and everything, and they're like, never mind. So it's a tough sell to give up essentially your afternoons, evenings, and weekends
for a part-time
position without benefits or anything. So I think we're gonna have to be creative in how we address that, but it's definitely something that that you notice when there's not a trainer on site. And this year in particular, we've had a couple of injuries that needed kids to go to hospitals where they didn't have access to a trainer, because we don't always get the FAST squad here on site for the whole time, because they're a community resource as well. So so just something to think about. Next meeting is in May.
All right, sounds good. Superintendent's report.
You do have my written report in your packet. It briefly talks about how busy spring is here in a school district, right? We're looking at hiring season, we're looking at, we're doing teachers, we're looking at determining those who are retiring and filling those spots, and looking at what does the summer look like for our students. So we'll be finalizing our plans for our special ed programming, for our learning loss programming, so those project-based summer school activities that Angel was so kind to start for us last year. Those will be happening again. Tutoring, all different things like that. So we're really looking at having some busy school buildings over this summer also. The second thing is I do briefly talk about the strategic plan. I do plan to have the scorecard available in my report for the next meeting. So you'll see where we are and where the pandemic has set us back a year or so for many of the activities that were in the strategic plan. So we'll be looking at that, looking at reorganizing that committee next year, just to sort of map out our last 2 years. So this next year, I really feel like will be a catch-up. The plan does run until 23, I believe, for most activities. So we'll look at where did we lose out because of COVID, looking at getting Mark Dolan back to help us reorganize, reassess, And maybe it's more now like a 6 or 7 year plan rather than the 5-year plan we started with. I really do feel like many of the wonderful activities that we had outlined for our students in that strategic plan had to fall by the wayside because of COVID. You just simply couldn't get to the 50% of our students with an ELO when we can't offer, when we physically can't get you out because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at starting that up again in the fall, potentially in the fall, but definitely in the spring of next year.
Any questions for Amanda? All right, thank you as always. Business Administrator's Report.
Good evening, I'm going to be brief. The month of March was mostly involved with our MS-22, which is reporting our appropriations as voted from voting day. So all the reports were uploaded into the portal within the 20-day window that's required. So things look good. I did print out the monthly financials for the month of March as well. And now we're just going to look forward into facilities, buildings and grounds projects for the summer and prep for, things that projects we're going to do while school is out.
Cool. Any questions, Robert?
There was, in the minutes mentioned that there was a correction that you were gonna make.
Yes.
How did that go?
It did not, because we had some connectivity issues last week,
Okay,
so I haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, I
There's gonna
just
be some.
couldn't find it that quickly.
No, there was a few days where iVisions was not accessible.
Okay.
So.
All right. Okay.
Oh, there's, I had a comment some feedback from a high school parent. If we could get some feedback to cafe services, it sounds like the menu for lunches at the high school doesn't really line up with what they're serving. I don't know if that's the case or not, but according to this family, they didn't jive because days that they planned on having something that they were kind of looking forward to did not turn out to be what it was, and so I just said I would pass along feedback that the IRS menu seems to be fine, but the high school menu does not necessarily always jive with what's actually served.
The messages do
We'll
pass
check on
for
that. Sometimes
kids,
there's supply chain issues,
Yeah.
so they have to make a last minute
That's what I
change.
mentioned to her.
So
supply chain.
Yeah.
it's always a supply chain.
I wanted to just pass that along
I
for
said-
cafe services.
I said I would ask about your
That's
school
correct.
menu, and I did.
I'm gonna use that one at home. We're having supply chain issues.
Yeah. What's for dinner tonight, Mom? Oh, well, we have supply chain issues. We can't get to the grocery store.
I heard they did make some changes in the flow of things, and it's been much better for cafe services at the high school, based on my students' report, so. Good deal. Any public comment response? We'll get on that?
Good.
All right, cool. To new business. So as last time, when we left, we voted and on the vice position and chair with Cookie being temporarily absent. So we have is in our packet, right?
Mhm.
We have in our packet a letter on that, and basically whatever the board decides can be done. We can do a revision to our policy, but we can designate a nothing that's saying that we can't elect a second vice chair or a temporary vice chair or anything like that. So that is their official position. So I don't know if anyone wants to do anything with that tonight. We are missing 2 people at least. I don't know if that's something that we want to wait until more people are from here. I would rather do that personally. I would feel better having at least Kathleen and Candace here. So you have a full board. That's all. That's what I would do. So, does anyone want to do any action on that? Are we good?
Well,
Are we good?
I think we need to talk in non-public about it. Because of what Amanda's got to have to deal with, as far as things coming up, with contracts,
Mhm.
with the graduation, all that stuff. I understand that. We were in this situation years back,
Mhm.
like I mentioned to you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not politicking to be in this position, but that's what we did back when Cusack was here, when Gertie was having trouble. We did it temporarily, appointed somebody to be the chair, as far as temporarily, so if she does come back, if I got nominated to put that position, I would step aside as she comes back, okay? I understand transparency with if I was positioned in that position, it seemed that I've been on the longest member on the board and know what we've gone through in the past. Being transparent with everybody on the board, with Jolson being the vice chair, handling the duties that need to be done day to day, as far as, like, Amanda's got a lot of things got to be done at the SU office. And I'm available during the day, so I can go and do all that stuff. But it almost be the situation where I could go and go over the contracts with her, go over the stuff that needs to be done, making sure that everything else is being taken care of, new hires and what are, and then getting back to everybody, making sure if I can't make a meeting, Tim runs the meeting, fine. I already know my schedule. As I said, in the past, that's what we did. Morrison was in that position before Cusack. Morrison was leaving. He'd been put in, we put him in as a temporary president, chairman at that point.
Right, he was vice chair.
Daniel were there, and Cusack, put me in as the vice chair. It just, the duties would be the same as anything. It could be the same as, as long as, I mentioned it to Amanda about it, that I would step aside if she does come back, and that'll go right back the way everything was before. I'm not doing this for an ego thing. I'm just doing this to try to keep everybody in the loop and keep everybody understand that I'm available to get a lot done that needs to get done during the day and during the week. If there's anything, some sticking point, I'm not gonna step over my boundaries and make sure everybody in this board knows what's going on. So that's where I'm going at with this. I understand waiting on everybody, but she's got a lot coming on real soon, and she'd rather have, I think I'm not speaking for Amanda, but I think Amanda wants to have somebody to be able to sit there and go over some of the stuff. Her contract's up for renewal, which is a different thing, so, it's something that the whole board ought to be sitting on and go over. But I feel I have the experience to handle that position temporarily. As I said, I would step aside if she comes back.
I thought that Tim was doing the chair.
Yeah,
What's that?
no, I am, like,
Yeah.
you all elected
Yes.
me to be acting
And I
chair
thought
last
the issue
time.
was Danielle was gonna do the vice chair,
Right,
and then somebody
If
was
we need
gonna
a
step
temporary
into
secretary to have a full complement of officers.
Right.
right.
Or-
Brewster is offering to be
Yes,
the
I
chair
understand. Yeah.
because he is available during the day. That's what, I work during the day, which I understand. But Amanda, if you need anything, you know how to get a hold of me. And you had, in the last week, you would have, if you needed something, you would get a hold of me, right?
I think the better way to approach this is to do what the attorney suggested. And the board might consider either adopting revision to BDB so that we don't have to hash this out. Just have a policy that says, this is what happens if blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And that's the chain of command, and then it's done. So that's a thought.
Mhm.
And then we don't have to discuss it. It just happens.
Amanda, are there certain things that you need specifically a board chair signature on?
There are. So in the next couple of weeks, so tonight I do have for your approval some of the teacher renewals.
Mhm.
So when we offer those contracts, those are due back in 2 weeks. So I would need, someone to come in and sign those, after that 2-week period.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other pieces of paperwork that Cookie was unable to sign, or has been unable to sign yet, that should be probably signed soon.
Okay.
But you can get those to Tim.
Yeah.
I just thought it was, I just feel like I need, whatever. And I feel like I'm in a situation where I was in before with Morrison. And so if you don't want me to be in that position, that And I just feel I'm being slighted, that's all. I just feel I wasn't here for the organization meeting because I couldn't get here for that meeting. I just feel that I should get an opportunity, because if this is my last year, it's the only position I haven't had. Morrison had the same scenario. Cusack was on the board, and he nominated me to be put in that position.
Well, I mean, Bob was elected after Jim passed.
What's that?
Bob was elected when Jim died, after Jim passed.
Right.
So Bob was chosen after Jim Girding passed away, and filled Jim Girding's seat.
We left, we put Morrison, anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever, we put
Well,
him in King in that position.
Well, I wouldn't take it as a slight, I just, you know
Well,
what I mean?
I think it is, because I've been on 14 years, and I just feel like, if you don't think I'm capable of handling this,
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's the case. It's just,
I just think
it's not a turns-taking thing. It's just what everyone decides to do, so,
well,
So we can, when more people are here next week, or next time, in 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
what do you want to do?
What
What do you want to do?
do we want to, the four of us want to vote on a vice chair, a temporary vice chair? Or are you okay, as is right now, until our next meeting with everybody presumably here?
I won't make an issue, I'll just drop it for this. I mean, I just feel very strongly about it, and so, I wouldn't have stayed on, I would have came into the organization meeting and tried to be the chair right off the bat this year. I could have made that meeting, because it's my last year, if I decide not to run again in 3 years.
Right.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot of things happened back then when we first, Danielle was first got on, when we had all this going on, so.
Right. Any thoughts for this week, or do you want to table
Are we
this?
okay with that one for 3 weeks?
I think we
Yeah, you could
I have
table it.
officers.
Yeah, as long as nothing happens to me.
Well, and I'd like to see BDB. I haven't even read it.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
BDB does go over the duties of the chairperson, does go over the duties of the vice chairperson, which basically say, do all the duties assigned to, can you put that from here? All the duties assigned to the chair. Does say the secretary shall be responsible for recording of all non-public sessions and have such other powers and duties as the school board may from time to time determine.
Okay. So that's the type of thing we could amend and say, at the end of it, we could say everybody moves up if somebody's incapacitated or something like that, so. Okay.
So table that till the
I
next
would
meeting?
prefer, I would like to table that until next time if everyone's okay with that, so,
It's not the way to move it up.
all right. Okay, so next thing on our agenda, we have a donation of $4,000 from the Royal Athletics Boosters to the IRS and VIII Track and Field Program. And you can see the letter in your packet. And so this is for, let's see, this is just to support the program with track and field equipment, specifically throwing circles and high jump equipment. So this is awesome. As we know, we have a state champion in shot put, he's a senior now, so it's good to see more field stuff at the middle school. All right, any questions on that?
This is wonderful.
Yeah,
Very nice.
thank you very much. And, all right, I'll take a motion on that.
I make a motion, we approve the donation of $4,000 from the Royal Athletic Boosters.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed and abstentions. All right. There's that. All right, review policy JLIG and JLIG-R.
That item has also been requested to be removed.
Oh, tabled?
Not
Oh.
even tabled, just removed.
I was curious why we were gonna have it on there.
There was an initial request for the IRS students to be able to ride their snowmobiles to school, to expand this policy to include them. However, state law prohibits those students from doing such. So that is removed from the agenda.
Oh, good.
My only suggestion is that there are so many different clubs named in these things. It's all over the place.
It's probably not a bad policy to just
The
clean up.
Snowmobile Group, Canaan Snowmobile Club, Mascoma High School Snowmobile Association, Mount Cardigan Snowmobile Club, it's like, ooh, I don't know who we're talking about. So, it might need a little tightening up.
Yeah, we don't have to do it now, but
No.
that might be a good policy to tighten up before next season.
Yeah,
Just based on, are the clubs current? Because I know like Mount Cardigan Club is an active club,
Yeah.
but I don't know about other
yeah, there's
snowmobile
like
clubs.
6 listed.
And I know this year I saw at least 2 students had driven to school on snowmobiles. I don't know if it was more than that. More than that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just was there earlier in the
That's
morning.
great.
I only saw 2.
Thanks.
But it's good.
It's pretty cool.
It's a cool selling point. I do like being able to tell people that our kids snowmobile to school. It's right off the rail trail.
It's
a nice,
classy.
nice little thing. Side note, have anyone seen an electric snowmobile? They are insanely fast. So cool and quiet. Sorry. So yeah, before next season, we can look that over. So next on the agenda, we have outdoor leadership experience, Olay, field trip for IRS. This is for their spring term, and that is up for approval. And you have that in the packet.
Make a motion that we approve the May 13th overnight field trip for the VIII program.
Second?
All right. So this is going to be all their Olay mentors, so 23 Dartmouth students, and then 33 IRS students. They're going to go to one of the Dartmouth cabins. They will be picked up after school on May 13th and dropped off the following morning. They're doing a nice little overnight out at the cabin, and my kid did it when she was in 8th grade, and the other one's looking forward to it, so it's, how long have we had Olay? 21 years? 20 years?
Oh,
that's been a long time.
Long time.
So, it's been a good time. All right, any further questions or comments?
Is this where an administrator has to go because it's an overnight trip? Is that how it works, or-
I think I'm more comfortable sending an administrator, so let me see what I can do.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Always-
While they're not going out of state, it is overnight, so, yeah.
Yep.
All right, good question. Anything else? All right, all those in favor of the Olay trip, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions, and that passes. All right, so we have our school board meeting calendar up next. That is in your packet.
So there's some of these that are highlighted in yellow, like the bright yellow versus the budget committee stuff that is in the goldenrod. Do they mean something?
Sure, those would be the ones that, would you like to have a meeting in July, or would you like to not have a meeting in July because of people's vacations? Same with that meeting on the 20th, right before holiday break. The March 21st one may be,
Oh, that's the organizational one, so that's why.
oh, okay, so that one's
That
actually.
worked out well.
That did
I like
that
that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
And April 11th must be during,
Yeah.
on a calendar,
Vacation.
must be during April break next year. Looks like it is.
Okay. Wait, is the February one not during break? Because I know we pushed back, oh no, we pushed it back, it's in the week between now, in February.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
okay.
February break, 17, 18, 19, 20th, starts
Okay.
on the 20th.
Okay. Well, senior awards night, we got graduation on there. Cool. Any other questions, comments? We have deliberative session on there for Saturday, February 4th of 2023, with a snow date being available up until the following Saturday. So that's good. Cool. Anything else?
So are we going to keep the July?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, what's people's opinions on that?
I struggle with August, so,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's more
I
August.
know I won't be here for August 9th, but I will be here for July 26th, but,
So I'm good with July.
Yeah,
Would you like to remove the August 9th meeting then?
if that's not removing too many meetings before
Will
school.
we have the bus routes available for July 26th, though? I guess
Yeah.
that, because that's probably the only thing that is time
Yeah.
sensitive, right?
Yeah,
We could have the bus routes for July 26th.
And you just
then.
need a quorum, so.
Yeah, sure. So we could, if, why don't I check on that? We could review this calendar again.
Yeah,
But I would like the bus routes rewritten. I've already requested that from Butlers.
okay.
yeah,
Sooner, like as in this spring rather than
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So if we could have the bus routes, we could eliminate the August 9th
Mhm.
meeting.
and even if you do,
That's
you can just call a meeting just to do the bus routes too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wouldn't be the worst thing, you know? All right. Okay, so do we want to adopt this calendar and then, or do you want to come back and find that out first?
Sure, I can find that out,
Okay.
the potential for the bus routes.
Okay.
And then we can also think about, do you want that meeting on the 20th in December?
Yeah.
It's the day right before vacation. I think we left it this past year, but tentatively canceled it sort of at the last moment, just
Yeah.
because we really didn't have a lot of business.
Yeah, I seem to remember if we can pack in a lot of business into the first one in December, then we get enough done, so we don't have to worry about the second one.
Yeah. I think especially last year, we weren't sure about how COVID was gonna roll out.
Yeah.
Right.
We kept some of those things in.
Yeah.
The only thing I have a question about, maybe if we cancel the August 9th one, is that gonna impact your leadership retreat or your vacations through the SAU, or?
No, that would be
Okay.
fine.
She doesn't take a vacation.
I don't take a vacation, and I actually think our leadership retreat is on that Tuesday, the 26th, 27th, 28th
Oh, of July?
of July.
Oh, okay, so
Yep.
that's not gonna be a problem if we have a board meeting that day though? Okay, all right. Cool, and then we can also probably talk board retreat next.
Yes,
Meeting as
we'll
well.
definitely should set the date for that.
Yes, and so I guess start thinking, do we wanna keep it on a Saturday morning? Or do we wanna shift it to like a late afternoon on a weekday? Do we wanna do it on an evening during the week? Do we wanna do it on a Sunday afternoon? Just think of different times that may be better. I don't know what works better for you, to you, you know, as we all have we have families, we have other obligations. We don't wanna make it so it's, you know, onerous for any of us to have to come out. But it is a productive time. We do talk about our long-term stuff and, you know, what we wanna do for the coming year.
And I would just say on the April 11th, I would tentatively leave that, just looking at the calendar for next year. It looks like the March meetings would fall on the 14th and the 28th.
Mhm.
So if we tried to move it ahead like we did this year, it would be board meeting
Yeah.
and a week later a
Yeah.
board meeting. So
Yeah.
I think we would be okay. It's over April break, but unless somebody's really going somewhere, I don't.
Again, we can look at that.
So we can always look
closer
at that
to the-
later, but at this point, I would suggest leaving it right where it is.
Okay. All righty. Cool. All right, next on our agenda. Oh, agenda items for next meeting. So we have committee reports, quarterly reports, staff retirement celebration, notice of that, right?
Nailing down that retreat date.
Yep,
Retreat date, yep.
and policy, I'm sure.
No,
No, we're good on,
we
did
worked
so well.
very hard on
Sure
policies.
did. I just used to saying it, that's all.
Very hard on policies. We're taking a little break at the SAU from Martha's
Grind.
hands are tired.
All right. Anything else for next meeting that you can think of? Okay. Public comment. We provide plenty of options for public comment here, before and after presentations and everything. I don't know if you have anything else, you good, or anyone out in Zoom land?
I'm good.
All right. We do have resignations as being presented here for our, what we call it, staff.
Yes.
Retirements, resignations, things like that. Are the resignations, when are they effective, at the end of the year? Were they effective?
Yes, so
Okay.
these are resignations that you're looking at. Can you pin that one? Did you? Sorry. So there are 2 resignation sheets. Rob's coming around with the second one also. So the first one that you have are some, oh, look at, I've got some people on here twice. They really resigned.
Yeah,
So, You'll see some, mostly retirements on that first sheet that was handed out, and then some resignations as far as advisors and a coach on the second sheet that has come out.
Okay. Wow, Sharon Evans is retiring.
I know.
How many years is that?
Sharon Evans is, I don't know, 30, 40,
Four.
a lot.
Yeah, both my kids had her,
Wow.
and yeah, she's such a kindergarten teacher. That's all I gotta say. That's great. All right, and then we have, so we have our resignations here.
everywhere tonight.
I'll take a motion on those.
Make a motion to accept the resignations and retirement as presented.
Is there a second? Oh, or Bruce, oh, did you?
Yeah, I
Oh, I'm sorry, I
second,
missed it,
yeah,
sorry. All right,
Quiet.
any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the resignations and retirements as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, and abstentions. All right, and we have non-public.
So the final two sheets you do have are teachers and SAU
Oh.
staff.
These are further nominations.
For that, any of those discussions, I would ask be held in non-public,
Okay.
which is immediately following this. And we do have that for the purposes of hiring and for reputation.
Okay,
Motion to go out of non-public, go into non-public, excuse me.
Second.
all right, Brewster with Danielle second. Brewster,
Yes.
Tim, yes, Danielle,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
all right, we are in non-public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who made the motions on the resignations and retirements?
We did.
I did.
Danielle and Hope?
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, while we're getting back, before I forget, last weekend in April, was it 27th to 28th, the IRS drama is doing their play Seussical the Musical. And so put it on your calendars. I don't know that I'll remember to say it before at our next meeting, so. This kids have been working hard, very much.
I was at the curriculum assessment update of April. I just wanted to say the professional development day looked fabulous.
It's very well done.
I'm serious. I mean, I've been in a
Very well
lot of those, and that looks like a very robust program. And
Very
that
well
was
done.
really impressive.
Yeah,
Just wanted to say.
Angels newsletters are really good.
Well, yeah, but the
And
PD I mean, I would have loved to have been there that day, you know, it's like, how often do people say that, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool. All right.
Motion to accept the nominations for the professionals, for the staff as presented for next year.
All right. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Third.
All those in favor of the nominations as presented in non-public signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed and abstentions. All right. That is that. And without further ado, this meeting can be adjourned
How
at
about the new hires? Could I
But the
have?
new
Oh,
hires,
the
make
new
a
hire. Oh,
motion, make
the
a
new
motion to
hire,
accept the
alright.
new hires as presented. I was waiting for that.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor of the new hires, nominations for new hires, as discussed in non-public, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. All right. Well, it's a good thing I drew out my adjournment. I had to look at the clock. It is still 6:58, and this meeting is adjourned. All righty.